My name is Shirley Demps, and I'm a resident in Florida, in the state of Florida, where I was born. I have 5 children who are all under the age of 18. Maybe about 4 years ago, I started out being a mental health technician with the staffing agency. I got a chance to work with children at PIMS, Fairwinds Treatment Center, All Children's Hospital, etc. I saw a lot of children, middle school, high school, and some elementary school. I had a 2 or 3 year with the company when my child had began, my kindergarten child had began kindergarten on last year. And that is when I started learning more information as to what the school does in order to try to diagnose children or try to railroad children into special programs, emotionally handicapped, EH, SLD for slow learning development, and even, I believe, try to get parents to get some type of psychiatric treatments or psychiatric evaluations. I was totally against my own child because I knew that my child had some other issues, maybe of separation of parent, so on and so forth, whereas my child was not getting the proper type of care from the school system. I had gotten a lot of phone calls, you need to pick up your child from school, your child has a behavioral problem, we can't tolerate the things that are happening in the classroom, we feel that your child may possibly need some type of drugs to keep the child under control, so on and so forth. I fought and fought and fought for almost 6 months. By the end of the school year, maybe 1 month of school ending, they took this kindergarten child out of that classroom, and he had no problems in the classroom that he was transferred to. I don't know if it was because it was the end of the year and he had a new class. I have no idea, but I know that he did not have one problem. And before this, he had a stack, thick, of referrals for each and every issue that the teacher or whomever had with him at that school. By the way, this kindergarten child tested right at the level of giftedness before the end of the school year. So my issue with the school is that things were not being done properly, and the answer that they gave me from the beginning was drug your child. Find a psychologist, a psychiatric treatment facility that could evaluate your child. Let's figure out if he needs additional services, so on and so forth. I have been against it from the get-go. I was even threatened that they were going to call the student resource officers for police department in order to get my child under control. These to me were not warnings, they were threats. And that's why I'm concerned about the nation at this point, the USA, every state in the United States of America, as far as psychotropic drugs are concerned, as far as labeling children and railroading children into being diagnosed with things that may not be true. This is placing a child in the position where the drugging would basically give this child a high that the child does not need. It's basically putting this child into adverse effects where zoning out from times to times because of the drugs, possible side effects of headaches, possible side effects of being maybe even allergic and having allergic reactions, having now bodily dysfunctions, having now brain synapse type of firing of your nervous system that is a normal process being made to abnormal. Basically changing your child not for the better, but for the worse. I can say where my issue, my personal issue began is where my kindergarten child at the time, being of age 5 in kindergarten, started having some behavioral outbursts at school. Basically, the school principal, I had received several referrals, suspension, suspension, suspension. I had received advice from the principal, which I feel she coerced me. She also made threats of the officer, resource officer, school resource officer that she was getting ready to contact to get my child under control. She had made threats that if we could not do what was best for this child, we would have to expel him out of school as an option. She began telling me, you need to get this child evaluated. He needs some type of psychology or psychiatric help. Possibly he may need a special program of some sort where children like him would be able to be helped in those particular settings. As a mental health technician, I don't believe the school knew of my background, and the school did not know actually who I am and what I do. I was being called on my cell phone at work to come and pick up my child on several occasions. I have a stack of referrals, thick, that anybody does not want to read through. So when I started to seeing how this school and this particular principal was handling the issue of my child, that is when I began saying, I have to advocate for my child. I believe that the issues had gotten so out of hand that not on one occasion, but on more than 3 to 4 to 5 occasions, I was told directly from this principal that I need to consider placing my child on psycho drugs. When I heard this coming from this principal, whose demeanor was cold, she was rude, she was very non-workable, I was so disgusted that is when I said, I have to advocate for this child. I must call and contact the school board. I must call the NAACP office. I must get involved with other programs in my local area to find out my rights and my children's rights. It got so bad to the point where I've paid for 2 consultations with a lawyer to find out the laws of family law and how I can protect my child. I believe that if I would have taken the advice of the school system and had approved my child to being under drugs, that what would have happened in the situation is that my child may not be as academically intelligent as what he is today. My child may not have been able to score high standards on his performance testing in order to even possibly be promoted to the 1st grade. I know as far as personality and as far as maybe behavioral, I don't believe that he would be the same child today. His personality is always outgoing. He smiles a lot. He's a happy child. He is able to conversate and communicate in ways that shocks me at times, to say that these children are a little bit more, verbal than what I had assumed as the parent. And I just do not feel that I would have the same child today if I had taken the advice of the school 12 months ago, 9 months ago, 7 or 8 months ago, to go ahead and drug my 5-year-old son.